Jävlar vad nice det är med så här vidvinkel. Okay. Oh right. Wow, this is really.
Okay, we have a new camera.
Yeah,
DJI
right.
Osmo Action. We're very excited. This
Very
is the first
excited.
time we're actually using it for anything.
It's an extreme sports camera, and we're using it for like programming videos.
Why are you here?
Oh.
What did you click? What happened to DevTips?
Yeah. So how do you click? Oh my God. Like, is it? Oh, okay. So
okay.
I keep it on. So like, I think the title of this video is gonna be "What happened to DevTips this time?"
This time.
Yeah. So it's like
Hiatus update 2000.
Yeah, exactly. DevTips is this channel that just keeps like dying and then coming back. Yeah, so DevTips has been off air for a while, and it just went off air like without explanation and like anything. And we figured that we owe you
An explanation.
Yeah, I wanted to give you like an update on what happened and what is going to happen now.
Yeah. So the way we have been structuring DevTips was that when we took over DevTips, Mattias was working full-time with Fun Function, and I was working full-time with my consultancy company doing SEO and analytics and stuff.
Yeah, and I figured that like I really like the offer that Travis gave me at the time to take over DevTips was like extremely like that was a great opportunity. However, I also knew like the stress of just running one channel, so like taking on another on my own was completely like no way in hell that was gonna happen. So
we decided to team up basically. So what happened was that Mattias has been responsible for Fun Function and being the face for Fun Function because it was his channel. And then sort of I was responsible for DevTips, running it, dealing with sponsors, figuring out what content. And often what happened is that I was probably on cam a bit more, but we both discussed the script and code examples on beforehand. But I was running DevTips basically. It was my responsibility because Mattias didn't have time to run it, but he did have time to jump in, be on live streams. And thanks to DevTips, we figured out this whole failing together concept. So that is awesome.
We transitioned into like a good space where we started finding like slowly figuring out what DevTips was about. The audience started accepting us as the audience. You started accepting us as hosts, and the people that were like were on the channel exclusively for Travis. They eventually left, and which was something that we knew was gonna happen.
So what happened was that in January there occurred a tragic event in my family, and I had to quit work, my consultancy. I had to stop doing DevTips. I had to do nothing except for helping my family out for a couple of months. And then I've slowly, during spring, been coming back to work, but I have had to focus on my company. And now I have to work quite a bit more with my consultancy.
Yeah.
So I don't really have that much time to edit videos and shoot a lot of stuff for DevTips, basically. And Mattias doesn't have time because he's running Fun Function.
Yeah.
But we both have the intent of, we love DevTips. It's been a lot of fun. So this is just a bump in the road, but we're gonna take this opportunity to figure things out because, right now we won't be able to put out as much content as we did the last year.
So just to be clear here, that DevTips is coming back, and it's going to
in some form.
Yes, and that is a little bit what we why we're making this video, because the people that are watching this video, you are now the people that stuck around after Travis left, and you liked some of the things that we put out after taking it over. And what we'd like you to do is to comment about those things, like what it is that you liked, what it is that you perhaps didn't like so much, what it is that you are lacking.
Yeah, what would you like to see more? Is there some space in the programming community that we can fill?
Yeah.
You know what our strengths are. Like, I'm a doing analytics and data, and I've previously been doing a lot of design, but right now we didn't do that much design. We did some CSS experimentation on DevTips, and Mattias knows everything about functional programming and JavaScript and servers and stuff.
And also one thing that we have been getting into a lot with Fun Function is having guests on. So it's very socially oriented, and we have like guests on all the time showing interesting things. So we're no longer like limited necessarily to our expertise.
Yeah, so we started on DevTips like filling in for Travis doing the React app. We did like the Spotify Better Playlists prototype with the React. And what has happened on Fun Function now is that Dan Abramov, one of like the major components of building React, he's been a guest on Fun Function. So you should really check that out. We'll link it. So we could do more of that if you'd like.
Yeah, we don't really know. Like if you have any ideas about where you think that the show could go, please comment with them. Because we are right now with DevTips, we are open to everything, especially if you have any ideas of how to relate DevTips to Fun Function.
Yeah.
Because Fun Function is this pretty tech-heavy, like targeted towards junior developers that are 1 year into their full-time job. And if you have any ideas how that kind of like how DevTips fits neatly into that from your perspective, like we are really open to like that view, like those viewpoints and comments on that aspect.
Yeah. So looking back on our year with DevTips, when we did it full time or like once a week, one of the most successful episodes and the series that was started but never finished that is sort of like the Fun Function way, starting a series, never completing it, was let's build an online business. And that is something I love to do. I love thinking about online businesses. And what we're doing with Fun Function is actually an online business, because Mattias is living off of this. And we have a lot of plans of how to take Fun Function and everything in the Fun Function world forward. So what we're thinking is that one idea that we could do is, I won't have that much time of like building and editing videos, but I will have time to do live streams.
Yeah.
So we could have that we build on our online business that is the foundation for Fun Function, and we can do that on live streams and then put edited stuff out on YouTube perhaps. That's one idea.
One thing that is like DevTips is definitely going to be like that's going to be very prevalent is live streaming. We have discovered in the last year or so that live streaming is something that we enjoy tremendously. It's such a fun and amazing way to work.
And the feedback on live streams is much more fun. It's always fun to put out a video on YouTube and read comments and answer comments. But on the live streams, it's a chat. So the comments or the questions, they come directly and we can answer them directly. So it's much more like this two-way communication. Whereas YouTube is you put something out and then you wait. And then if you have a question in the audience, perhaps a month later you will get an answer to that in a new video. But on the live stream, we could just dive into it straight.
Exactly. We can respond to it immediately on camera. And it's also like, I would say that it is even more than a two-way communication, because the audience helps each other out all the time. So people in the audience help us out on screen. They ask questions on screen, then we help the audience back, then the audience helps us, and then the audience helps each other back and forth. Like there's a lot of interaction going on that just doesn't really happen in the YouTube comment field. Like that's a lot because of that YouTube's comment field is a piece of shit, and like no notifications, there's no code highlighting, it's just a garbage. But doesn't matter why. What matters is that Twitch is like a fantastic platform, interactive for learning, that we're gonna spend a lot more time on.
Yeah, and also it fits in the spirit of DevTips. Perhaps you're here because you watched one of Travis's doing CSS Grid, introduction to CSS Grid, like these very sort of like tutorial based. But for me, DevTips has always been the spirit and like the fun, soft communication and discussing other things, sort of like career advice or like how you can develop yourself as a designer or as a developer on Function. So we want to take that further as well. Because there are tutorials out there, people are doing great jobs with tutorials, and I think what we can offer is sort of like these softer aspects around building things online, or like building a design or building a program or whatever.
Yeah, what would be helpful if is that perhaps you don't know exactly what it is perhaps you cannot formulate that. If you can't, then write in the comments where you are in your career. Like, what is it that you're working on right now? How long have you been working at the place that you're working? Are you working? Are you working as a designer trying to move into programming, or are you a programmer trying to move in? Where are you? Who are you? Because that will help us a lot in understanding where we're gonna take the channel.
Yeah. So if you're seeing this, thanks for sticking around. We're very grateful for that. There will be things on Function during the summer and going forward. So if you're not subscribing to Function, go check that out. And be sure to follow on Twitch as well to get notifications. For sure. Because the live streams are fun. And it's really a way of communicating. And it's not just communicating with me and Mattias on the live stream. The whole community in the chat is a lot of the social aspect, where you get answers, because we can't see all the questions. I think that was
the biggest surprise for me coming into Twitch, was like how valuable the chat became in itself.
Yeah.
Because for me, before, with YouTube, the chat was not the comment field is not actually like a community.
No.
Like, people, there's no camaraderie in there at all. Like, it's just like.
But in the Twitch chat, you get to know people, and what's fun is that no question is too stupid, or you can just ask and people will answer you. And we try to keep the community a friendly, fun place where you can feel secure and safe and actually get answers. Because as you've seen on our streams, we don't know everything. We suck at everything. Apart from a few select things where we're sort of a bit better than the rest. But at most things, we suck and we ask stupid questions. We can't log into an interface or even. So everyone has that. So that's why it's nothing bad about asking that question.
If there's anything that we want to core value that we want to push onto the development community, it is asking for help.
Yeah.
Because we have a huge problem with that in the community, that people go off into their cave trying to solve a problem on their own, and they emerge with this puzzle piece that doesn't fit. And it could have been solved so easily by just asking a colleague for help. And asking for help is not giving up. Asking for help should be the default approach. Collaboration is the first approach.
Follow Function, and of course follow DevTips, and we'll see what happens. And until then, have a great summer and see you soon.
Bye.
Ciao.